Okay, so welcome everybody to the second part of the Ridge Racer Type 4 Let's Play. With me again is Joon, a good friend of mine, and also providing here commentary. Say hello.
Hello, how's it going, everyone?
So yeah, last time we did this, we left it off basically at the end of the second heat. Remember, this game has 2 heats and a final GP, and now we're gonna tackle the last 4 races of the game and eventually beat the game. So, and we got a new car. Yes, because of course.
It's a good start.
It's a good start.
It's a good start.
And the problem is this car is actually pretty fast, and we get the shortest and most cramped track in the game, immediately.
Yeah, this is the course we were talking about in the last episode.
Yeah, Infinito.
It's like suddenly you get this really fast car, and then they give you this really corner-heavy short course.
This track is really complicated because the racing line is everything. Like if you don't know how to even go around this track without bumping into stuff, you're gonna lose immediately. So,
man, this guy really likes this.
Oh,
now.
He's super happy. He's like, I chose the highest performance car. If you don't,
only the best for the best.
You know what? If you actually mess up the previous races, the dialogue actually changes. So depending on when you're getting to the other cars to get the different results, you actually get more storyline actually that way. It's interesting how that works.
Yeah. They had Justin, I think we mentioned in the last video, they give you just enough to be attached to being good at the races, or trying to appeal to these characters. Or
I mean, they do give you some feedback, don't mess up. Yeah,
don't get full of yourself.
Yeah. Anyway, so this track is hard. It's annoyingly hard.
Another Yokohama track.
Yeah, but I want to. We talked about this last time too, about the race being in different times of the day. But here's a kind of interesting detail. You see how the shadows are all 12 o'clock shadows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of it happens exactly at 12 o'clock, right? There's a thing about that. The lighting in this game, even if it's pre-baked and everything, right? It doesn't have dynamic lighting at all. But it does have a lot of attention to detail about the way the shadows are placed and where the things are. So, especially in tunnels and stuff, you can see it's got a lot of attention to detail in that sense.
Well, they just really pay attention to just color, right? They intentionally take
colors. Yeah. Each track has a very specific color to it, like a palette, right?
Instead of relying on lighting to do the job for you, they actually are really conscious about, okay, these colors will have to be used for this kind of day, right?
Yeah.
It's the thing they do in the later 90s games, right? They're really good at textures. Games like Vagrant Story look really nice because it's not even lighting, it's just them picking the colors, right? So
yeah, there's a lot of actual very basic design philosophy that actually helps it work, because it's not just the graphics are pretty. The graphics are not pretty, right? They're okay for the time, but they're not PlayStation 2 and stuff. And even then, that drift is hard. I nail it every time, but it's difficult. It's actually.
Yeah, if you look at the lower left, the mini map, it's so cramped compared to the last.
Yeah, look at the laps are actually super short. That's the problem too. You get only 3 attempts to beat the race. If you don't, in the final GP, you have to place first, otherwise you lose. So basically, you need to place first in this race. That's a perfect drift. Just hugging the wall.
That was a good turn.
Yeah, that was just hugging the wall. So basically you have only 3 chances. So normally you would mess up the first 2 and then get the third one. That would be kind of the thing. But yeah, so it is difficult. Again, if you're not used to Ridge Racer, you're not used to this game, it's gonna be a little hard to get all this stuff done. But it is completely possible though. But if you look at that thing with the airplane there, all those little details too. And that's a race, super short. So yeah, I mean, the replay actually managed to do 2 laps, I think, which is cool. You actually see 2 laps of the race.
There's so much. I didn't realize they have those railings in that tunnel.
Yes. Again, because this is scaled up, this is 1080p, upscaled. Basically, you see a lot of detail in the grass and the actual structures around the track that you normally would not see as much, because it would be all kind of compressed and be low res, right? Mm-hmm. Also, paying attention to the fact that the actual advertisements and the stuff around it, the Pac-Man balloons and all the floats and stuff around the track, they mimic what actually would happen in those kind of racing events, right?
Right.
or the fact that these look like normal roads at some point, or like normal tunnels or overpasses, but they have like logos for the racing routes, 99, all that, like the branding, and that kind of gives it that feel of like the branding of the event. So.
Right, there's like real sponsors happening here.
Yeah. So again, it does give you kind of a, interesting. Also, the aesthetic of that track in particular, like the building shapes and everything. There is a lot of design behind this, like to make it visually very identifiable. Like one track to the next look different. They have, like we said, different color, like temperatures, right? But also the palettes themselves are different.
I love this part actually. This is how he
Team
connects.
Mappy, so this is the owner of the Team Mappy is a woman who, well, I guess was a child, right? And then Shinji Yazaki
inherits the company.
Yazaki, the Cream Reaper returns. Like, what is he doing back in this Grand Prix? What is he up to now? Oh, it's you.
he's so worried. He's like, oh, you caught me off guard. But you did good, by the way. Oh god, you didn't see that.
Our efforts paid off. No, it's nothing. Like, because we asked him like, what's going on? Like, I feel a bit tired. That's all.
But you can hear your own character's voice basally.
I mean, it's funny
based on his response, like, hey, something wrong?
Yeah, because we just walked in on him having a moment, like. So yeah, it's weird, but I guess this is again this is the second.
This is also New York.
Yeah, this is the second track variation of that one.
This is my second favorite course, I think.
It's cool, but it's kind of tough too. It has a couple of turns that are annoying.
I love the way it looks. The way it looks is really cool.
This one has a more like yellowish palette, right? The other one is greenish. Right, they have. I think that's the contrast.
It's like a night drive. Yeah, it's like a lot of like yellowish lights in this like night city.
Yeah,
it's
this
New York. It's really New York.
Yeah, but this one is like yellowish tinted, and the other one is green tinted. I think. Right.
I don't know where in New York this is supposed to be, but it's New York.
In the airport, I guess.
I guess near an airport. What the heck? Okay.
You start at the airport, and they actually, because those airplanes they can't leave. They're like stuck.
Actually, if it's near an airport, this kind of makes more sense. This is kind of a more probable like highways and stuff, because like
yeah, but what highway actually connects to the airport one way? Like none, right? And there's also like a tunnel beneath the airport. I mean, of course, it is not really New York, but it is kind of like American City, USA, right?
It's New York to me.
Yeah, I guess. But like this part looks like nothing out of anything.
Yeah, it looks like the house look European and shit. It's just like
But yeah, this tunnel has nothing to do with anything in New York at all.
This tunnel looks really cool. I love this part of the.
I mean, again,
I like the jump here. The drop here is what
the design
really,
is super cool.
Yeah,
But this
drop is the memorable.
Oh,
part.
there was an announcement for Ace Combat 3, right there on the. So yeah, this has like this. See, there's the airplanes, right? So you go underneath the runway or
okay.
the tarmac,
I never noticed
right?
that. That's interesting. Yeah.
And you emerge out into the tarmac because that's of course super realistic, right? I also like how they painted like the actual car starts and everything. It's like this was a permanent circuit. It makes no sense. But yeah, so you connect from the tarmac into the highway because of course, right? I'm going to daily commute just into the tarmac, right? Go right through the airplanes.
But I like that they do stuff like this because they're really not concerned with realism. It's all about style, right?
Yeah, but that's the point,
cool.
right?
Yeah.
I think the main thing about this game, and in particular, I guess that kind of aesthetic, that is more oriented to the arcade kind of feel, is that it is.
Yeah, it's definitely arcade.
Yeah, it's very much that kind of thing of, it looks cool, so we'll leave it in, right? That's the thing. It's designed in a particular way to evoke a particular like emotion, I guess. Because they thought like, dude, like airports are cool, right? So let's start the air race to the airport, right? But then we need highways. Cool. So let's just connect an on-ramp into the tarmac. Like, okay. Good.
Just make a bunch of tunnels.
Yeah, a bunch of tunnels. And tunnels are easy to model and they're like easy on the system. Because this game doesn't run at 60 FPS, sadly. But they do keep a very consistent 30, and it has pretty impressive graphics for like a PlayStation. Mm-hmm. And also see that they're playing landing right now, like on the side of the track, right? Like. They're still using the airport actually, even if you're racing through the airport. So, But those kind of things, right? And of course the highway parts are so Japanese highway, right? They look completely like Japanese highways. It's very obvious. But you know, again,
Yeah, there's like this particular like road right here. You wouldn't see this in New York.
of course not. And this looks like something from Ridge Racer,
Yeah.
right? Which of course makes sense because remember, like the most of the development staff of this game worked in Ridge Racer, so that's also why this looks similar. And Ridge Racer is a weird game in terms of design, right? Because the track is this kind of Mediterranean European thing, right? It's really weird. It's really cool though, but it makes no sense. Like that couldn't be a city. like, like what city is that? Like it's so weird.
Ridge Racer City.
Yeah, and that's what they do in 5, right? Rich City. Right? So they just kind of immediately just do that. Yeah, so that's the airplane landing there. Those are the weird designs for the Japanese team. Like the Japanese team, like each car manufacturer has a different kind of design aesthetic. A Saluto, of course, is like the Italian sports car, like high class thing. They look all pretty cool. But the Japanese cars, they look weird. There's like the 3-wheel one. There's this one that looks like a
Super experimental.
yeah, Lotus like 68 something, like one of those early Formula 1 cars. And then other stuff like that. So it's like it's there's also one which has like it has what it's called. It's like basically like a Le Mans prototype. It has like a cabin on one side. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, but the car designs are pretty cool. It's too bad though that the car that shows up in the intro and the like hero car in this game is actually only earnable if you lose. Like if you lose a couple of the heats, like the races, then you can get that car. So it's not the best car in the game.
Yeah, you did have to like play a lot to get all the cars because you know it's all about it. The good cars you get when you get first, but that means you have to intentionally not get first.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
I mean, ideally you would get third, and second. Like as you get better cars, and you would play the game again and get better cars. But you know, if you're good enough, if you've played Ridge Racer enough, you know, 2 perfect wins in a row. Your driving skills are so good. It almost frightens me. Oh no! It may sound ludicrous, but no, I'm really afraid. It's true that I have been searching for the perfect race, but this perfection will take all that is important away from me. I have been unable to escape this fear
I love that face.
ever since Yazaki appeared to remain races. Pause. I'm not ordering you to win them. Whatever you do, don't push yourself over the edge. I beg you. So like, I love this fucking guy. Like, I love this story.
His character arc's so funny.
It's so good. Like, it's amazing.
But this is the thing, right? The cutscenes, they're not very invasive, and they don't really go into the backstory at all.
No,
There's a lot of stuff you just kind of read into.
But it's
you
great.
know so much about this guy already.
But I mean, like, you get like a snapshot of this dude. Like, you really know what he's about, right? But this race is so hard.
This course is something.
Yeah, it's annoying as hell. It's cool though. It's like actually super cool. But I like the observatories on top. It's actually super cool. Like again, and this is based on the typical Japanese like the typical like mountain, curvy road, like where you usually do the drifting stuff, like the typical downhill race. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, seriously, it is based on that kind of aesthetic. So, you do get the moment when you go downhill in this track. So it's actually pretty difficult because it is that kind of thing. But it's very cool. I mean, Ridge Racer has always done very good with height variations in the tracks. It gives them that kind of very vertical feel, which is really cool. That turn is horrible. I just killed that dude.
Like, compared to other racing games, you definitely get a sense of, like, verticality. Right? You're, like, inclining, going downhill. Even that drop in the previous course, too. Right?
Yeah, I mean, all the tracks have a bunch of height variations, and that's very much on purpose. Like this particular one here, you have this really long, upwards part, like, followed by the drift here, and then you have a very long downwards, like, section, a very tight section with jumps, right? Like, this particular drift here is really hard, followed by the jump. And this would run also... But the last drift is the worst one because it's a very, timing-based drift. You have to. I usually use the little sign of the turn, like the blue sign. That one? Mm-hmm. No, this one. This one here.
As a visual.
Yeah, visual cue. And I messed it up the first time. I'll pass the sign. I'll count like 1, 2, drift. And it usually works, but I was like too much to the left side, to the right side. But yeah, this track is difficult. and my lap times are horrible. Like you can do much better. Like I'm doing 120, 124. I mean, you can do 117. I've done 120, 112, I think. So it's like you can go much lower. I just suck. Like in this particular one, I wasn't playing that good. Still win though, but not. But I mean, it is kind of. I guess I'm playing in character, right? Because I'm on the edge. I'm pushing myself.
The guy just gave you like a speech. You're like, oh god, I gotta think about what he said. Like,
right. I'm second doubting every turn.
Yeah. What did he mean? Who's Yazaki?
Yeah. Who the hell is Yazaki? I haven't played that storyline yet. I haven't met him. But yeah, I think he does explain it afterwards. Like his son got killed.
No. Yeah, well, actually, he doesn't. It's only in the epilogue, actually.
Is it? I don't remember.
Yeah, he actually
where,
doesn't outright say it.
Yeah,
it's only in the epilogue. Like, it's like really like hinted, like, oh, okay, that driver that had an accident with his son or whatever. Like,
yeah,
like,
I mean
he doesn't outright say that. Yeah.
That's the.
But then like
the
direct connection is when you actually play the pack team racing team, because the director of that team is Yazaki.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like he reveals like, oh yeah, I had this thing in the past. Like I killed my partner basically. Like,
oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
there's
the
a lot
implication
of
the part of the two cars from each team racing in the same race.
Yeah, that's right. That's when there's like 2 cars per team. Actually, my personal favorite team is Dig, but I remember like playing as pack team because I think in the beginning of the final heat, you get a fan fax from Reiko because she's supposed to be a fan of pack team racing.
Oh.
So yeah, so there's a portrait. Like so when she sends the fax, there's a portrait of her too. She's like, "Good luck, racer. I love pack team." Whatever. It's like,
oh, cool.
I'm like, yeah. But you only get that if you play pack team racing.
I mean, the weakest storyline, I guess, is the Mappy one because she's like
French
very
one.
chilled.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
hey,
it's still nice, but it's probably the weakest one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the girl is also pretty kind of like that. She just doesn't have a personality like this Italian crazy guy.
Yeah. She has a growth, but then it's like it's not as rewarding at the end.
No, because you're not racing it. Like this is the hardest mode. I mean, it is the hard mode. It's not the professional one because that's Dig, right? But Dig's cars are actually slower. That's why it's harder. You know? In this case, the cars are actually fast, so you get like the feeling like, oh, okay, like. It is the hard mode basically, but it is at the same time also. I love how they do the difficulty in this because the difficulty is only determined by the overall speed of your cars. So like it's only hard because the cars are fast, but the tracks are the same and the AI is the same. So as long as you race well, it shouldn't matter. You shouldn't find different.
It's funny though because in one of the cutscenes, your manager is like, hey, you're not fulfilling the potential of the machine, right?
Right.
So it's the same thing. You get this fast car. If you can't handle this fast car, you can't race well, right? So it's like it's funny how he says it, but in the game it's the same thing. If
I mean,
it does. See this car,
It does actually connect to the gameplay. That's what I'm saying. Like, It makes sense that the fastest, most demanding team has actually the fastest cars. So, and because they have the fastest cars, it is pretty demanding to race them. So. That kind of, I think, this is the only racing game that I know that does anything like this, which is why it's kind of cool to I guess, document on this, because at the same time, there is nothing like it, like absolutely nothing like it. There is a little bit of a parallel, I guess, with like Wipeout with the classes, but there's nothing.
Your last lap is so much better than the first two.
Yeah, I got better. And I after doing this, I actually went and oh god, so what? Are you trying to tell me that you are seeking perfection?
Now he's mad.
Are you trying to prove me wrong?
Now he's
I understand.
angry.
Soka desu. Naruhodo. I understand what you want to say. The final race is up next. I want to cheer you on, but I can't seem to find the right words. Leave me alone for a while. ... Thank you, God, dude. Seriously. What the hell?
He's so reflective.
He's like, leave me alone. It's like my final race. Like, at least
it's like, I'm the one racing, dude. It's like, why are you getting crazy? I'm the one that's behind the wheel.
I mean, he has that kind of thing. Like, he's like overprotective, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the second fastest car in the game, technically.
Nice car.
Cars, yeah.
Damn.
And this is based again on like I guess at that time the Lima prototypes
Squallow.
weren't looking like this, but it was an interesting idea because this is kind of a mix between like F1 and the Le Mans cars, right? So it's interesting. Again, the car design in this game is pretty cool. This is the final gift. Got a new car for the final race. It's a Speed Demon. So try to race this car in like Phantomile.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah, good luck. Yeah. So you'll fly off the course. You'll fall off the
you'll
course.
die like that, But no matter what, come back alive. He says as he dramatically takes off his sunglasses, right? So, and the track is the joke. It's like it's so easy. I mean, there is a particular turn. Like the last turn is a little tricky because you have to get the line right. But it's not that hard. Like you should be able to nail this. If you got this far, placing first, this should be no problem. Like,
and this is the iconic last track song too. Moving in circles is like it's like the equivalent of like when you play like older NES games, the first song is the last song kind of thing. Well, so this is the song that plays at the intro.
They actually have they have the singer, right? They actually has the vocals.
Yeah.
But again, look at the way that the lighting goes. So it turns out that this is actually New Year's. So basically this is 99 like December New Year's for 2000, right? So this is the countdown. The countdown for year Y2K, right?
And of course, as you know, back in the day, that was a big ass deal. Like, oh god, year 2000.
It was. I mean, it is a big deal in every turn of every millennium, I guess, because it's a millennium.
But I guess it's their way of celebrating it too, like in game.
Yeah, but
how fast you're going? Oh, so fast.
It is super fast. So it's 200 miles an hour, like easily, right? And the car like grips as if it was like glued to the track. So you can turn that like your turns are like above 180, like so it's ridiculous. So again, this should be like no challenge at all because you're so absurdly fast. Again, even if you do like I didn't do that turn correctly, but even if you mess it up a little bit, you're so fast. There's no you lose this.
Even the game is treating this like course like a victory lap. Like you already won, just like go have fun. We'll give you the fastest car. Just do it, right?
I mean, in some of the other teams, particularly Dig, it's not as easy because you.
Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, in Solvalu is like whatever. You have so much speed, you just go, just go. That's it.
You spend $1 trillion on the machine, so it's like.
And you have so many laps too, that basically like you have 6 laps, so you're done. Like you have no problems. There is the only parallel to this particular track and Ridge Racer in terms of the series is the oval track in Rage Racer, which
Extreme Oval. Yeah,
yes,
Rage
which
Racer,
basically it makes sense because again, same developers, so like same team exactly. So I would imagine that, and also in Rage Racer, that track was also kind of special because you usually had to race a supercars mode. There was no way to win otherwise.
Yeah, I remember when I first played that course in Rage Racer, I was still using the old cars. I was like, I can't win.
Like Nade?
Yeah. So you had to upgrade to one of these like monster cars.
Yeah,
to even compete.
And they had a manual transmission, I remember. That was the thing.
Yeah.
So, again, no problem, second place, and just again.
There's a lap to go.
Yeah, and just like okay, so. A turn.
You just imagine the manager character somewhere outside here just watching you, just like on the edge of his seat, like, oh my god, is he gonna make it?
And there you have the fireworks, because that's already turned the millennium, right? We're just barely on like.
Yeah.
But again, it makes the track an event. Like that's the thing that I've been saying the whole time that this game does in terms of a racing game. Because remember, the characterization and the character in general, in terms of like setting and design and aesthetic, it's a perfect turn there. That's basically like stuff that you see from other games, like shooters and action games and so on, RPGs. But
you got the fireworks.
Yeah, and then the AI just drives my car into the wall, of course.
This is grieving at the end.
Yeah, exactly. I just die right
just
there.
Creeping at the end, yeah.
So this game has so much character in terms of the design of the tracks and the aesthetic and the little choices they made, like we've referenced the entire run. Just the way that everything is put together gives it its own unique character, which for a racing game is extremely rare.
Yeah, it's not. Racing game genre is not something you associate with personality, right? But
no,
this game has a lot of personality.
Yeah, and it feels like its own thing that is not similar to any other thing, because that's the other thing. You can say like, oh, so, you know, for example, Ace Combat games may be very different to each other, right? But they're all very story focused, and they're, you know, the Aces team is pretty consistent. So, you know, from Ace Combat 4 to 5 to 6, they are a very consistent line, right? And well, 3 is this weird one in the middle, because of course it is. But
Happy New Year!
Yay! But, you know, this was 20 years ago. Right there, right? That's amazingly long time ago. So, you know, basically, you know, this game is unlike any other Ridge Racer game and unlike any other racing game, literally.
Nice trophy. Nice Zevius reference.
Yes. I mean, of course, the track, the team names are named after Namco franchises, of course. Yeah. You came back. I'm glad. I'm so glad. Right? You won the entire Grand Prix? No shit, Sherlock. Like, what have you been doing the entire time? You've been, like, panicking for no reason. And managed to achieve the 4 perfect wins during the for new record. You're amazing.
You're amazing.
Perfect race. You answered the challenge. The challenge that I was afraid to undertake. I wasn't able to break through that barrier. That's so Japanese, right? Like, the whole thing is so Japanese. Well, thank you. I am blessed for meeting a driver like you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
This is such a Japanese quote right here.
It is so much like, arigato de gozaimasu, arigato. It's like
this guy's not Italian. This guy's actually Japanese. So here you find out about like his like backstory, kind of. So but this is what I like though. They don't actually like harp on it too much. They just kind of mention it. And you're like, oh, and that's it. But you know, you just move on.
Also, another cool detail. This particular extract here, right? It's not written by any of the characters. It's actually a journalist in setting.
Yeah. This is supposed to be an article in this world. Yeah,
an article, you know. Basically like an article about the thing you just did.
It's a third person view of what happened. So they want to make it feel even more real. It's like they won the race. Here's this, you know, afterthought they wrote in the racing magazine or whatever, right? So it's like
So the harsh word directed at this driver was so this is like you're you know explaining why he was so harsh, right?
Mm-hmm. But through the eyes of another journalist, which is so cool. It's like, I really like this touch.
I mean, and after the loss of and then you see like, oh, look at that, you know. And that's why he's calling that guy the Grim Reaper and so on, right? It's like,
and then later, if you do play Pack Team Racing, you find out, oh, the partner was that guy on that team.
Yeah. He's Journal pole position, right?
Pole position, yep. Another
pole position, yeah. Because of course you had to have it somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have the outro, which is the hold on. Yeah. Do you have the little cutscene with the you think you're done? Well, there are 1,000 more cars to get in this game.
And all these cars you haven't gotten yet.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I love the fictional design for the cars in this game, and I would you know, I would pay, I don't know, all the money in the universe to get like a Gran Turismo kind of game with all these fictional cars. Because, you know, they're so cool. They're based on actual cars, sure, but they have their own little thing to them, and you can tell like they're based on this and the other car bar, but they have their own like character. Again, the thing with the character, right? Like this game has a character. Like, everything.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah, the R.
One more win, baby. One more win.
So Motomi Katayama, basically, he directed this, and he worked on Rage Racer, and then he worked on a Kirby game, like Kirby.
Okay, Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby Canvas Curse. He worked on.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, and 2005 I think came out, and so you hear the scripts. So he actually had a writing staff in this, like amazing.
In a racing game, yeah.
So I figured like the people who made this game, they were just sitting around on a table like, hey, so what we should do for the story? Because I don't know how they came up with putting a story in this game, but I figure it has something to do with actually developing Ace Combat 3, because that game also had a huge story. Like Ace Combat 3 has multiple endings, had 7 endings actually, and like anime, like cutscenes and all this other stuff. And so I figured that probably they're like, you know what? Let's try to make like a narrative in this or something, because you know, but Ray Trace didn't have it at all. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy that they did it though, because like it's really, this game has a lot of memorable elements, like separate. You can remember for the music, you can remember for the game, the visuals, but like the story is definitely one of the things I like. it's one of the key points I remember. It's like, yeah, it's a racing game with a story, and they did it really well. So I always remember that.
Yeah, I mean, it is basically like, yeah, a complete package, so to speak. Like, the game does everything, I guess I would say everything well. I mean, there has problems as well, of course, but just in general, like, in terms of the package, like, what it is super solid, because it does a lot of really interesting things, and it executes them, like, very competently. So, not only the racing side, of course, but the whole thing besides the racing, which is kind of what most racing games fail at. I mean, not fail at, but they're not focused on that, because even if you have... So, we did on the channel a review in Spanish, though, for Need for Speed Heat, for example, and I did another video for, like, Slipstream and other racing games. So, and in those games, you have a storyline and you have some stuff, but it's really garbage. Like, you have stuff, but it's there to kind of fill up space, or because people have an expectation, but there is no attempt to actually integrate it with the game in any way. So it is kind of, you know, the only example which you could give that is similar very little bit is like Need for Speed Pro Street, because it also happens like in a festival, and you have like legal like races and everything, and it has a storyline, but it lacks that Japanese melodrama.
It definitely helps. It's cheesy, but it definitely adds just enough. You're like, okay, I mean, I want to win.
I'm not gonna say that the writing in this game is amazing, because it obviously isn't. But it's like
it's very cliche. It's very cliche. Yeah.
But if you think about it, it actually makes sense, because you only have enough text to fill the like before the races and after the races.
Yeah.
Technically after the races, so you don't have a lot of space to put dialogue in there.
Yeah. So the what I like about the story is that there's no excess. They just have just enough for you to get attached.
Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah. It's barely there, but it is there, and it is kind of like exaggerated to the point where even if it's not much of it, it does leave an impression. So it does give you a sense of, oh, what are these characters and what's going on in the world of the game itself and everything. So yeah, and at this point, when you finish the campaign mode, of course you earn the cars that you raced in the campaign mode for your garage, and you race them in time attack and single race and so on. And versus also, this game has a 2-player mode where you can race against a friend or an enemy or something, or a rival, or love interest. I don't know. So yeah, basically, so that's been Ridge Racer Type 4. So, final thoughts on the game besides everything we already talked about?
All I can say is, like, I'm watching it again for the first time in like maybe a decade. You know, I've been listening to music all the time, but seeing it still holds up, man. There's just so many elements that are memorable, and seeing it like this remind me of like why I like this game so much, why it was so influential to me in so many ways. So, yeah, it was like, thanks for having me here. It was a fun little look at it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll do a little bit more stuff later down the line. Want to remind everybody that Joon has a pretty, I guess not super duper popular, but he has a channel focused on Final Fantasy XIV stuff.
Right? It's growing slowly.
Yeah, not like our channel, which is not growing at all.
It'll get there.
But at the very least, yeah, I just wanted to mention it. So if you're into like MMORPGs and stuff, and especially like tactics for beating particular bosses in 14, so he's like an expert in that, and his videos are top quality aesthetically and in content. So, which is something special to say, because most of the content for a lot of MMORPGs, especially stuff that is recent, is made really, really quickly and without much attention to detail, and usually doesn't use the best strategies. So in this sense, like, his videos are a cut above and beyond what stuff you find normally in those kind of channels. So I would totally recommend that. I don't play 14, but I do recommend the channel.
Thank you very much.
I mean, you can tell good content even if you don't play the game. They look really good. So anyway,
really appreciate that.
Good. So anyway, so remember to like, subscribe, or not like, I guess, if you don't like this video. But yeah, click the bell button if you want to do that, and of course you should want to do that because you're a nice person, right? And well, comment if you want to see something else. I know nobody comments on my videos, but if you do comment and you do want to add something, please do so. We are all ears, or all eyes, I guess, because we read them. And well, that's been everything for now, and until next time, game on.